Now, many of you will know that today is the last day for the Chinese New Year holiday, which started last week on Saturday and it ended today. Now, one of the things that we saw on the streets of social media, especially Weibo, we saw a lot of frustrations being poured out from the users of the EV cars. I mean, you will realize that during these holidays, we usually see, of course, a peak in terms of or the demand in terms of the charging infrastructure, including, of course, battery replenishment, which is only offered by Neo at the moment, which is something that is pretty good. I mean, we saw this from the kind of swaps that Neo was completing per day. You could see that the demand for just charging and battery replenishment was just had just skyrocketed, which is something that, of course, we usually see at each and every holiday. Now, one of the things that, of course, was very painful, or some of the frustrations that were really painful coming out from the consumers or users that are using the EV cars, was having to wait for a long period until you get to charge your car. I mean, it appears that there were some areas where users were even waiting for 7 hours just to wait for the charging or for the EV charger so that they can get their turn to charge their EV car. This is the very same thing that, ladies and gents, it is making a lot of the or some of the consumers rather to take time to convert into fully electric, because they see these kind of frustrations, and trust me, they are not good. I mean, having to wait 7 hours to charge your car so you can continue with your journey, it's not something that is good. Now, with Neo battery swapping station, it appears that there were also some of the battery swapping station that were experiencing a lot of course, people coming at wanting to replenish their battery, which, according to the Weibo user, the most they could wait, or they were waiting around 1 to 2 hours, which is not bad comparing to the 7 hours, which basically it's almost like the whole day waiting for a charger to charge your car. So for Neo, users were waiting around an hour, 2 hours, but the chaos that you find into the charging infrastructure as compared to what you find into Neo, according to this user, was totally different. Because with Neo battery swapping station, you will know that you book before you get to a battery swapping station to say that you want to, of course, swap the battery in your car. So there's no need to fall in the line or those kind of things, because already the system, or the new system, or the Neo battery swapping station system, is able to alert you when your time arrives. So rather than also seeing the people fighting for chargers, saying that I was here first and whatnot, with the Neo's battery swapping station, the queue is orderly, and anxiety is also, of course, very low as compared to that you find on charging or on charging infrastructures. I mean, we've seen a couple of fights. We've seen people really fighting physical for a charger, which is something that is not good at all. Now, one of the things that the user indicated was also just how so many of the consumers in China are still opting to either buy a hybrid, which is half electric, half gas car, which is something that, of course, he's saying that people are still leaning more towards this. Those that want to convert, most of them, or some of them, are still leaning towards hybrid cars than EV cars because of this kind of situation. It is for this reason where you see new energy vehicles like Leo flourishing in terms of sales, flourishing in terms of deliveries. It is because consumers are still hesitant, or there are some consumers that are still hesitant to go fully EVs because of the experience that comes when you buy of course, a new EV. And of course, one of the things that he also stressed out is that even on gas stations, there were long queues there during these holidays, which also means that gas cars, or those that are still driving gas cars, they were having queues of their own queuing, which was something that, of course, he saw that, and yeah, it was also not that good. But one thing for sure is that during, of course, holiday seasons, or we get to see demand into, of course, these charging infrastructures, battery replenishment, including gas stations, going to peak, because a lot of people are traveling, going to holiday destinations, going to visit their families, which is why, like I said, on Neo we saw also the battery swaps being completed per day were also high. So yes, that is that. But one thing that you must know, this is the current situation according to this Weibo user in China, who, ladies and gents, saw these things firsthand, and he just thought he should just write a small, of course, analysis or report of what he saw during these holidays. And from the summary, or if you can just summarize what he said, is that when you go to a charging station or charging stations, or those people that were going to charging stations, some were having to wait for around 7 hours or up to 7 hours to just charge your car or their EV car, which that is a huge frustration. Whereas on Waylai or on Neo's battery swapping station, it was just roughly 1 to 2 hours, which comparing to that, it was not that bad. So yes, it appears that Waylai's or Neo's battery swapping stations are more convenient when comparing to, of course, the charging infrastructure, which till this day, ladies and gents, it is still short. I mean, you'll know that the shortages of charging stations or of battery chargers, when you look into the EV cars, it's not an issue that is only having an impact into China, but it is a global issue where we are seeing, of course, chargers not being enough or not meeting the demand of the kind of cars or EV cars that are on the roads. This is something that automakers needs to address, and therefore needs to deploy more and more EV chargers to cater for their users, or to cater for those that use these EV cars. You will know that the Neo CEO has said so many times that 80% of the Neo's EV chargers are being used by non-Neo cars, which is something that, of course, just has to show you that most of the time the Neo chargers are being used by other EV brands, which is something that has to show you that there is a huge shortage. It is for this reason that the CEO of Neo indicated that this year they plan to, of course, deploy over 20,000 charging piles, which I guess it makes sense based on this situation why they would aggressively also continue deploying this charging infrastructure over and above the 1,000 battery swapping station which they will be deploying again this year. They will be deploying 20,000 of course charging infrastructure or chargers, so that at least the convenient, or at least the situation can become better. So yeah, I just thought I should just give you this quick updates. I mean, personally, for Neo, I'm very excited with their technology, battery swapping station technology, because that technology as it stands, it is still being used by the Neo users, and the more Neo deploys this battery swapping station, is the more convenient and the shorter waiting period we will get to see the Neo users at least waiting, because ladies and gents, the more they deploy this, the more, of course, battery swapping stations will be out there. And of course, for battery swapping station, I don't think it was throughout their whole battery swapping stations, but it was some of those battery swapping stations, some that were, of course, being utilized the most, which is something that, of course, just has to show you that the more Neo deploys this, the more convenient it will bring. I mean, with the 4th generation swapping station, you will know that one of the things that will easily solve these problems is, of course, that battery, or that 4th generation battery swapping station, it is able to swap the battery in 3 minutes, meaning that from customer to customer, those that use their Neo cars and want to swap their batteries, if they find themselves into a queue, they will only have to wait 3 minutes until they get an opportunity to swap their cars, which is something that is just out of this world. And one thing that we are seeing onto Neo is that they are continuing to improve on these battery swapping stations in terms of how fast the swap station can complete the battery swap, which is something that is pretty good, meaning that probably in the next or the 5th generation swapping station and the 6th generation swapping station, we could see Neo being able to complete a swap probably in 2 minutes. Who knows? But the more Neo improves on this battery swapping station, is the more convenient we are going to see from these battery swapping stations, which is something that is pretty good, right? And the more Neo deploys these battery swapping stations, is the more convenient they will bring or give to those that buy the Neo cars and subscribe to battery as a service. I mean, personally, I think this battery swapping station during this holiday season sort of like did a marketing for Neo cars, because, ladies and gents, we saw a sneak peeks of people from other EV brands watching Neo doing, but Neo battery swapping station doing its job in terms of completing a swap, and you could see from their eyes that really they would really like to own, probably if they could change or would change from the current EVs, they will probably go and buy a Neo car, which is something that is always good. Now, another thing with the Neo car is that it is quite pricey. It is expensive. It is a premium EV, which therefore means that it cannot be afforded by many people, and therefore there are those that want to buy Neo cars but they can't afford, and they end up going for other EVs, which is Neo sub brand, ladies and gents, because it is a brand that is Neo will be catering for the sub brand, because it is way cheaper than the Neo's actual car. This will really help and will attract a lot of consumers, a lot of users who wanted to buy the Neo cars but could not because of the price, and now they can afford this sub brand, which not only will it be cheap, but it will also be utilizing the battery swapping station of those that buy that sub brand or Neo sub brand, namely Alps, and subscribe to Buzz, will have an opportunity to go to a battery swapping station and swap the batteries in their car. It is for this reason that I believe that they are doing, of course, a marketing for Neo, because once that sub brand is launched, then we are going to see, of course, users, those that could not buy, or consumers, those that could not afford the Neo big brand, going to buy the sub brand so that they can enjoy the benefit of battery, or that comes with the battery swapping station. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I just thought to just give you this quick updates. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the likes button, comment and subscribe, and once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click that notification bell so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.